Donnie Houston.
What's up, Donnie?
Man, not too much, man. I have a podcast out here, man, where I'm just documenting, just our Texas culture, our Houston culture, man, and the legends that really had an impact. And, I got to talk to SPM if I'm doing this, So,
Well,
man,
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's an honor to speak with you, man. I mean, I tell people all the time, man, it's almost like a Tupac effect, you know what I mean? Like with the SPM thing, man, when I look back at it and just the response, and just the relationship you had with your fans, you know what I mean? Just the impact and all that, man. So it was just always
well, thank you, bro.
Yeah.
I think my most impressive days are still ahead, considering that I was just constantly fucked up when I was free, constantly out of my mind, and spent very little time with music. A couple of weeks out of the year, I would hide myself in the studio and drop another album, but gave the rap game very little, just because of what many people suffer from, self-destruction, from just a hard life, and your Jimi Hendrixes, your Elvis Presleys, your DJ Screws, your Kurt Cobains, just the list can go on. Hundreds and hundreds of wonderful artists that were self-destructive. No doubt that prison saved my life, and very thankful to be here today, to be here in prison. And now I'm seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Be home pretty soon, and now I'm really focused on music. Really can't wait to start making beats, getting back to my beats, and just taking this gift that God gave me and taking it to places that I haven't took it before.
Yeah. Nah, so, man, can we kind of just go back a little bit and you kind of talk about, just early on, getting into the rap when you were kind of a kid, early on, when you were just first starting out and everything, some of your influences and, what kind of was just making you want to even get into hip-hop in the first place?
Well, all I can do is tell you the truth. I was 16 years old. Loved rap music, loved all music, honestly. I loved, Ice Cube came later, but back then it was Rodney and Joe Cooley. It was Microphone Fiends. What's my boy's name?
Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah, Eric B. and Rakim. Just loved it. Of course, KRS-One was a little bit before that. Loved him. Slick Rick. Loved Slick Rick. I've loved rap music since 8, 9 years old when my sister would rap. That Rapper's Delight, the hip hop, hip,
Yeah.
And I just loved it, bro. So, but I loved all music, classic rock. Well, back then it wasn't classic; it was what rock was. But Jimi Hendrix, the Eagles, Led Zeppelin. But anyway, those were my early influences. Then later on, of course, NWA just took over. And that's what was going on. But honestly, I got into rap. It's an interesting story. I was convinced that I had gotten AIDS. I was convinced that a chick at Milby Night School had given me AIDS, and I thought I was going to die. And I knew that you only had 5 years to live. Everybody was dying within 5 years. So I knew I had 5 years to do something. I had to live my whole life in 5 years. And really what I was trying to do is save my mother the burden of having to spend all that money on a casket and, you know, all the funeral expenses, you know, because she was slaving at this grocery store, checking out groceries, just barely making ends meet, trying to raise 3 kids. And, you know, we lived in a trailer, and I was like, fuck, I got to do something. So I said, well, I'm going to get a quick 2-year degree and try to open up a business and maybe have a little business where I could at least be able to pay for my own funeral. So I was 17 years old in the 9th grade. That's why I was going to night school. I was trying to be a 10th grader, and I ended up being half 9th and half 10th, honestly, when I was 17. But I said, fuck this. I gotta get the fuck out of high school. I gotta get a GED and go to junior college. So that's what I did. I didn't know how to do algebra, so I hired the University of Houston had volunteer students that would help kids with things that they needed at this little local, kind of like a Boys and Girls Club, but it wasn't quite that. It was just where you could go, and it was in Denver Harbor off of Lion Street. This little building where you could go, and there would be volunteers in there. So a guy taught me enough algebra to be able to get my GED done, because I had pretty much everything else that's past my GED. So I went from a 17-year-old freshman in high school to a 17-year-old freshman in junior college at San Jacinto. And that's when I learned that my ADD was something serious. Like, I tried my best to pay attention, but like my mind kept drifting. And there was this one class called technical math where it kind of taught you how to use math in real life situations. It was an incredible class, but it had long formulas, and if you just lose concentration for 1 second, you're going to miss a couple of steps. And I don't give a fuck how hard I tried to concentrate on what that woman was doing. My mind kept drifting. It just drifted, like, even when I didn't want it to. Anyway, it wasn't only technical math. I flunked every single class, all 5 classes, and I realized that I'm just not college material. I can't do this shit. So then I came back to the hood. You know, I'm from an all-black hood called Hillwood in Sunnyside, out there off of Cullen. And my homeboy and me were shooting some hoop outside my trailer, my best friend Hewlett Hodges, and this freaking 14-year-old kid that we know, maybe I shouldn't say his name, but he's one of the botany boys. I don't know if you know the botany boys, but
yeah, I know the botany boys. Yeah.
The Cloverland is right, right across the street from Hillwood. That's my house. You know, Cloverland is my park, Raul. But anyway, this damn kid is 14 years old in a fucking candy brown Lexus 4-door, on chop. Just nasty, man. And I'm like, what is that dude driving that car? Like, what is he doing in that car? He said, that's his car. I said, come on, man, that ain't his car. Whose car is that? He said, that's his car. Yeah. I'm like, how the fuck does a 14-year-old have a Lexus, man? Come on. And he said, man, that nigga sounds that dope. And I'm like, well, what the fuck is dope? You know, I mean, I knew because when I was going to Worthing, some of the guys started smoking Primos, and I knew it was this new thing called crack.
Yeah.
And I said, well, fuck, that's what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have never thought to do that, honestly. I just wasn't, I was a bad kid. Like, I fought every weekend at parties, and, but I wasn't no pistol packing, drug dealing type dude. I just wasn't, at 17, that just wasn't me, but it's a different story now. Now I'm trying to buy me a nice casket. I'm trying to at least, go out in style, you know what I'm saying? Help my mom out a little bit with the shit of it. If I leave it up to her, they gonna put me in a little plywood box and paint the motherfucking green or something. So anyway, I got into the game, bro. I got into the game, and
So this is at 17. You get into the game?
This is at 17. Yeah, this is at 17, but the reason I say that, the reason I know is because a few months later, I'm in a 7.7 Seville, smoke gray, gold trim, black ragtop on swing, and I remember the sticker on my license plate said 1987. That's why I can remember the history and know that that's how old I was. But I told myself, that I want to go into business, and really all I need is a nice car. I just need a nice car so that when I do business, I didn't even know what kind of business I was going to do. But I got the nice car, but I never did stop. And lo and behold, I found out that you could live longer, that some people do live longer. I saw on the news that this one kid or this one man had it 20 years and was just now starting to die.
Wait. Like, you're still convinced that you have this, that you never got tested for? You just assume it.
Bro, if I tell you how I know I had this, because I didn't think I had it. I absolutely knew I had it. That's a really long story. All the symptoms, all the reasons why I truly believed I had this. But yes, I thought this all the way until prison, till I was dying, literally dying in prison. Let me tell you something. Either God gave me a miracle, or your brain is one powerful fucking thing. It will literally kill you if you convince it that you're sick. Because my body was falling apart. I was sleeping over 20 hours a day. I only woke up to eat and shit, and that's it, went back to sleep. I was dying. And that's when I finally said, shit, man, let me get some medication, man. Let me just, maybe I could stay alive for another 2 years, And I finally told the nurse, I said, ma'am, I need to get an AIDS test. And she was like, why? I said, well, I've been really sick. She says, I know you've been sick, but is that what you think it is? I said, yes, ma'am. So 11 days later, I get the results, and they say negative. And I'm thinking it's got to be a mistake. So I take another one. I put my I-60 in, and they allow me to take the second one. And it comes back negative. I could not believe it. I didn't,
Yeah,
and the nurse said, this was in 2008. This is after already being in prison 5 years. But anyway, yeah, I mean, so just to let you know what happened back in the hood, it got real hot. The dope game started getting harder and harder. It got real hot, and I had some money, like I had some investment money, and I was also buying cars from dope fiends. So I had like 11 cars, 11 used cars. I was going to open up a used car salesman. That was my whole plan, just to open up a used car. So I had like 11 running cars, and like 3 or 4 that didn't run. I was buying dope fiends cars like nobody's business. That was always my thing. Well, shit, send me the car. I'll give you, $1,200 worth of dope for it, which cost me about $300. So.
Yeah.
I was, just, I thought that would be a good business to leave to my family. But anyway, one day, man, I had all the cars parked around the trailer park that I lived in, and one freaking day, first, I got, for the first thing that happened is I had like $7,500 saved up. And I was already out of the dope game. I was already about to, start my used car business. But I was at Cloverdale, a place called Cloverdale, where we go eat our hamburgers at. They serve these big, nasty, greasy hamburgers. When I say nasty, I mean good nasty.
Yeah.
Big, nasty-ass hamburgers that we used to love.
You said, what was the name of it?
Cloverdale. It's a bar. It's where the old people go drinking. But there's a kitchen in the back, and the youngsters were going there to buy hamburgers.
Okay.
And we shoot pool, and wait for our hamburger. But anyway, I was in there with my boys. You know, I'm the only Mexican. I'm the only Mexican everywhere I go. But some Jamaicans walk in and they pull me to the side. These two Jamaicans. I know them. That we call them the uglies because they're all tall and ugly. They all look the same. They're just these big, tall, fucking weird-looking Jamaicans, but they all look the same, big old eyeballs. And everybody in the hood called them the uglies. Man, let's go to the uglies, man. Go get a couple of sweets.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, two of them walked in. You could tell that they were the uglies because you could just tell how they looked. And they pulled me to the side. They say, oh, you know, I kind of know them, you know, from buying a little weed, little mix-act from them every now and then. But they're like, say Mexican, we're trying to get some weed, you know. I said, bro, I don't sell weed. You know, I sell dope. They said, come on, man. All Mexicans, you know, have connections with weed. You know, we're looking for 50 pounds. And I said, nah, bro. I mean, I'm not your average Mexican. I live in the hood, bro. I'm over here with you know what I'm saying, with my people in Hillwood. And he said, well, are you sure you have no connections? And it just so happens that I do have a homeboy from the southeast side, because I didn't go to Sunnyside till the 6th grade. I was raised in the southeast side on the other side of the tracks where the Mexicans stayed, you know, off of Telephone Road.
Right.
And I was raised there. You know, I went to Hartman and Gregg Elementary before I went to Woodson and Worthing on Sunnyside. But anyway, I said, you know what? My best friend in my Mexican hood has an uncle that's a big-time weed dealer. So it just hit me. I said, you know what? I think I do. I think I do have a connection. So they said, all right, well, call us. To make a long story short, I find out that these are the Jamaicans. Well, I didn't find out till the guns came out, and then I got a fucking big-ass gun in my head. But just a few months later, some Jamaicans had killed 6 Mexicans by Barnett Stadium. And when those guns came out and came to my head, I realized it was the fucking uglies, you know, that had done that. They're about to kill us.
Damn.
But the only thing that saved us is my homeboy had like 5 kids in the house. And the oldest one was like 12, but they went all the way down to like 8 years old. And I guess the Jamaicans knew that, because that's why they killed 6 Mexicans. That they have to kill everybody. Once you kill one person, you got to kill everybody.
Right.
And so I guess they were arguing because my homeboy, because I just got on my knees and just faced the wall. And my homeboy told me that one had a gun to the back of my head and he was arguing with the other one. I heard them arguing. I didn't know what they were saying. I know what they were saying. They're probably saying, but this motherfucker knows where our weed house is. We got to at least kill him. And the other was probably saying, if you're going to kill him, you got to kill everybody. I don't want to, you can't kill all these kids, you know. But anyway, they left. And with the 50 pounds. And sure enough, you know, me and my best friend, Ronnie, my best friend from Hillwood, I had 2 best friends, Hewlin Hodges and Ronnie Clark. Hewlin said, fuck you, I ain't going over there. But Ronnie went with me. And I still love Ronnie till this day for that, because I gave him a little busted up 32. I had a 9 that was a revolver 6-shot. So we had 2 little pea shooters to go try to get my weed back from these Jamaicans who you know, they're serious, you know, that motherfucker got guns. But I'm so pissed off, and Ronnie's crazy ass is gonna go with me. Now Ronnie's daughter's my goddaughter, Monisha. But anyway, these motherfuckers moved out of the weed house. There were these little government homes behind off of Coffee Street, in between Martin Luther King and Cullen. Anyway, they moved out of that weed house that same day because the house was empty. When we ran up in there, it was empty. And so anyway, it turns out that Joey's uncle, the guy that, you remember I told you my Mexican friend had the uncle with all the weed?
Right.
We got to pay this man back. This man ain't trying to hear no jack shit. And he gives us a good price on every pound, you know, something like $250. We got to pay him back almost 50 pounds. So, but it just emptied out all my low, 7,500. I had somewhere between 55 and 7,500. Whatever I had, it wiped it all out. So I had no more money. One bad deal. I had no more money. Then a week later, I go to the movies with my girl, you know, which is my son that's on the phone, his mother, and I come back and all my fucking cars are gone.
Damn, what the fuck?
Because the police told them all because they were parked for over 30 days, and they were and all the light. And I didn't notice, but they all had pink slips on. That's what my mom told me. She said you should have known they were going to take them because they all had pink slips. You know, they had already warned me to move them. I hadn't even looked at the cars.
Right.
So man, every one of those cars was like $80 to $150. I had two vans. That was like $175 to get them out. So altogether, it was like, I don't know, $2,000 or $3,000 to get all the cars out. I didn't have no money. And every day, every day is another $50. You know how that is. So after 3 days, the $3,000 I owned, turned into $5,000. Finally, there was nothing I could do. I lost all the cars, so I lost everything. So I was so discouraged. And I remember I was in the living room and I fell to my knees. I said, God, what can I do with my life? I mean, Jesus, I can't win on these streets. I know I'm smart, because when I was in elementary, all the teachers would say I'm real smart. It wasn't until junior high till you had to start doing homework, which I'd never done a fucking page of homework in my life, that I started failing. But in elementary, all the teachers used to say I was real smart, so I knew I was smart. I said, God, what can I do with my life? How can I make a little money, because I'm fitting to meet you here in a couple of years. So I got off my knees, and I swear to you, I went to the living room, I turned on the television, and as soon as I turned on the television, there was a commercial, and it was a black dude talking about, give us your best rap right now over the phone. Call this number that's below me and give us your best rap. You could be the next artist to get signed with a major deal. And what it was back then, rap was blowing up so fast that all the record labels were scrambling trying to find artists because the demand was so, of course now you got 10 rappers on every street, but back then they were scrambling trying to find rappers. So it could have been Big Time Records, it could have been Rap A Lot. I don't know what company it was, but of course I didn't know how to rap. I didn't call the phone number or nothing. I didn't know how to rap, but that was my answer. Because I wrote poems. I wrote beautiful poems. I was like, every time a girl broke up with me because I would, cheat or whatever, I would always write her a poem and I'd get her back. Or on my mom's birthday. I was a cheap motherfucker, so I never bought anybody a present. I always wrote poems for their birthdays. And it would make them cry. Yeah. Even my brother, even when I wrote my brother a damn poem for his birthday, it'd make him cry because I knew how to touch people. Yeah. I knew how to say cool shit, so I knew that was my answer because that's all rap is poems. You just got to put the poems on a beat, Yeah. Yeah. And sure enough, bro, I did not think, once again, I did not think that was my answer. I absolutely knew that God was telling me that my way to get out the ghetto was rap. I celebrated that day because I never worried about money again. I knew it. I knew that was my answer. And sure enough, but everybody saw me, in Benzes and living in castles and just blowing the dog shit up, but nobody knew how miserable I was. Nobody knew that I was a man that was dying. Not only that, I thought I had given my whole family, my wife and I thought everybody had it because they were always sick, My wife was thin. She was really thin because she's just so damn worried about me because I'm constantly, fucking around. But I'm thinking she's dying. I'm thinking everybody's dying. So I was really the saddest man in the world. Everybody thought that I was just having this wonderful life, but I really wasn't. But that's how I got into the rap game, And what turned me to a gangster was on that damn block. That block will toughen anybody up. The block will rock, you know.
Yeah. You talk a little bit about DJ Screw, about meeting DJ Screw, because I had little Randy on, and he was saying like, yeah, man, you know, SPM sometimes was just like he hanging out outside, like around DJ Screw's house, you know, like just trying to get on, you know.
Yeah. You know, I was with Screw when his, you know, we was out there smoking weed when his, well, the night before, you know, his woman lost their child. You know, it was a very tough time for him, and I was with him at that time, and Screw always wanted me to be, you know, with the label, and he didn't want, you know what I'm saying, just want me rapping on tapes. He wanted to sign me, and I would try to tell him. I would say, man, I'm dope. I got my own little, you know, thing going, because me and my brother had Dope House, but
What year did y'all like 94, 95?
I had the idea of Dope House since 94, but I think we legitimized it in 95, and that's when I dropped Hillwood, my first album called Hillwood.
Yeah, Hillwood. Yeah. Talk about that, man. Just making your first album. Like, how was that?
Well, at first I didn't have my brother. I didn't have nobody, and my boy Raymond, who, you know, I sold dope with, and of course he was kind of a DJ himself, but he didn't have no equipment, but he knew how to DJ. But he told me that his cousin, Delwyn, knew how to make beats, and that Delwyn lived over there off Cullen, over there by Boomerang, or past Boomerang, and gave me his address, and I went to talk to Delwyn, and Delwyn said, yeah, you know, I make beats, and he said, you know, $150 a beat. I didn't have no money, but I noticed that his living room, you know, was a little bit played out. I noticed that his TV was a little bit old. I noticed that the chair that he sat in his little studio in his room was a little raggedy. I asked him if his mom might need a washer and dryer. To make a long story short, because I would also, not only would I get cars, but I would get ceiling fans, TVs, washer dryers, couches, got there, anything, weed eaters. So
yeah,
I paid for my first beats with furniture sets and televisions and all this stuff that I had left over from the dope game. They were just sitting in my garage. And so Delwyn,
you have 1 minute left.
Delwyn had a house full of furniture and TVs and nice chairs, and then I had all my beats that I needed for Hillwood. And I recorded a little bit in his closet, but then I found a real reasonable a studio for like $35 an hour, and I would finish a song like in 40 minutes. So like for $60, I would get 2 songs done. And then my girl would help me out too. You know, my ex-wife, she would give me money. She was a nurse's assistant. But I'm gonna hit you right back, Donnie, because we ran out on this one.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I'll hit you right back.
The caller has hung up.
Donnie Houston.